for a change?
I am talking to you.
Then get ready to explore the quantum possibilities. It's time to transform that outdated paradigm into something universal and new. Time to uncover the truth hidden beneath the veil of lies. A time to think outside the box as we link to a higher consciousness. Welcome to the awakening. And now the hosts of Broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love and Augie Nost.
Hello, everybody. Here we are again, live on KCOR Radio from Las Vegas, ready for some cutting-edge conversations of what is outside of the box. My name is Augie, and I'm one of the hosts, and my co-host Nori is not able to be with us. She was slightly injured in an accident and can't be here, but she says, don't worry about me. I will be fine. Nothing to worry about. So we won't worry, but we're going to miss you. So we have a phenomenal guest with us tonight. But before I introduce our guest, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how you can connect with us also. You will find us at broadcastteamalpha.com, and we are on YouTube with the same name, Broadcast Team Alpha. And yes, you go to YouTube, you can check out our shows there, and also we have some doozies. Just scroll down into the shows and you'll find just about anything from time travel and how to tap into the universal consciousness, reversing the aging process, and you name it, it's all there. In fact, our guest has a show with us there, and that got really deep and interesting. So you need to check that out too. And also, when you are on YouTube, please subscribe and check the little bell next to it so you can get a notification when new videos and shows are coming up. And for those of you that want to hear this show again, go to broadcastteamalpha.com, YouTube, Twitter, or seven other platforms. And of course, we will always be at kcorradio.com in the archives under Broadcast Team Alpha. And when you are on the broadcastteamalpha.com website, down at the bottom of the page, there is this wonderful feature. I love this feature because this feature is helping Nori and I to be able to continue doing what you do, and it helps us a lot. It's a donate feature. If you like what you hear, and we would love it if you also could help us that way. But if you can't, that is perfectly all right. We know things are tricky these days, so we love you for being here, and we love you coming back. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are connected. Wow.
Oh, what a strange thing. Right when you were queuing me up, Augie, boom, all the power went out. So I lost my internet and the Skype call, so have to call on my cell as backup. But sorry about that little hiccup.
Man, oh man. Well, I almost wanted to ask you your opinion on why it happened.
I don't know. It might be the whole block, so it might just be a coincidence. But I try to keep a low profile and not really announce my whereabouts too often. So
yeah,
it's a pretty intense time we're in right now, and you're a public figure, and I am as well, and
yeah,
we know that there's a backlash against truth tellers at the moment, so nothing surprises me anymore.
Nothing surprises me either. Either way, folks, hey, this is for you listeners out there. We have Brad Olsen with us, and he is returning to Broadcast Team Alpha, and he, you know, the amazing thing, Brad, is that you've been on here once before with us, and then we were trying to do another show, and we had technical problems then too.
That's right.
That blows me away. Well, somebody is, or something, No. I'm not even going to go there right now. Anyway, I want to say a few things about Brad, and I imagine most of you listeners out there, you already know who he is because he is everywhere. He's an explorer, he's a world traveler, he's an author, a researcher, a videographer, an event producer. He's a speaker on conferences all over the place and a very sought after guest on radio, TV, and documentaries like Coast to Coast, Ground Zero, Fade to Black, and TV shows like Ancient Aliens, America Unearthed, Beyond Belief, and many others. He's written, I don't know how many books he's written. I think in his bio it says 10, but I think it is more. So anyway, and including 3 of them in the Esoteric series. And I'm going to talk about that later because I'm sitting here looking at one of those books and it was phenomenal. And I don't know how many TV shows and documentaries Brad has done or been part of, and I bet if I ask him, he probably don't even know. I feel really privileged tonight because he is here. He's going to spend the next hour with us. Welcome to the show, Brad.
Hey, Augie, thanks for having me on. Sorry about the little hiccup in my technical difficulties, but yeah, it seems to be a thing. Every time we're having a conversation and getting into some really good material, something happens. So try to get
it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's well, so, I tell you though, yeah, when something like this happens, I know we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But you have done so much, Brad. I only know 2 people that has been to Antarctica. You're one of them, and I have a cousin back in Norway that has been there working for the Norwegian government. And he don't talk, but you will a little bit anyway. But you have written several books, and I don't know. There's so much to talk about. Where do you want to start out, Brad?
Sure. Well, the bio is correct. I just released my 10th book, which is called Beyond Esoteric, Escaping Prison Planet. And I'll just put it out there. You can check it out on cccpublishing.com. And that has all the books that I publish, including my own and other authors. And we have the Google Books app, so you can look at it, browse the book online as you would if you were saying going into a bookstore. So I have that feature. You have a copy of Future Esoteric, and that's the second book in the series. And the first book is called Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses. So it starts with modern esoteric, and that goes all the way back, looking at the antediluvian cultures all the way up to this modern age and every secret society and mystery school in between. And Future Esoteric, the book you have, it's called The Unseen Realms.
Wow. The phone connection got cut off. How about that? That is amazing. Well, Tina, she is, I'm sure, trying to get him back. Are you there?
Yeah, here I am again. And for some reason, I didn't touch it. So this is going to be the kind of evening we're going to have.
Wow.
I was just talking about the Esoteric series, what I've been up to. And for the next 2 weeks until the end of the year, I can still say last year I went to Antarctica on a sailboat. And that was in January and February 2019. Yeah, with 3 Americans and 11 Polish people. And it was a Polish vessel out of Gdansk, Poland, called the Chief One. And it was just an amazing voyage, and I'm Facebook friends with everybody on the trip. And one of the Americans just passed through town a couple weeks ago. We just had a great time hanging out and talking about the to Antarctica. And I know very few. As far as I know, I'm the only researcher in this field that's gone down there with the express purpose of looking into a lot of these mysteries that we've heard so much about. And I know that you know a lot about too, Augie, and we see each other at conferences and talk off on the side a lot. So I'm glad we have very similar thoughts on these things.
Well, there's so many mysteries down there that since we are on that subject, maybe you could enlighten us a little bit on the mysteries, all the way up to maybe the connection between the Nazis and Antarctica.
Right. And this was one of the whole points of my trip to South America as well. So it was 4 months total down in South America and 26 days in Antarctica between going to Ushuaia, Argentina, and getting on the boat. I put all the research from my Antarctica trip in the new book, Beyond Esoteric.
Mm-hmm.
But go to CCC Publishing to check that out and read on some of this Antarctica material, which is the most intriguing part of it is, as you mentioned, the German connection, the Third Reich going down there in the 1930s on a ship called Schwabenland. And they used the name of the ship to claim a piece of land that they called New Schwabenland. And it's basically, if you look on a globe these days, it's more commonly referred to as Queen Maud Land.
Yeah.
When I was doing my trip, Age, when I was getting ready for this trip, and I love maps, I'm going through all kinds of maps of Antarctica, and I was looking at some Cold War era maps. And I'll tell you this, the Germans never left New Schwabenland. They may have lost the war, but they kept their bases in that same area of Antarctica even after World War II. And that's what's so amazing, because one of there are reportedly 3 major ships, and I'm talking about motherships that are very, very old, of most likely extraterrestrial origin, that our alphabet agencies have known about for years, since at least the 1970s, and they've had a nickname for these 3 ships called Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. Mm-hmm. So I was in a quest to find out where any of this stuff was. And my best estimation for one of them happens to be in New Schwabenland, this area claimed by Germany pre-World War II. Then they set up a base there called the New Berlin Base, or Base 211, and I know exactly where it's located, in the mountain range near the Schumacher Ponds. These geothermically active hot springs and lakes that never freeze in Antarctica because they're fed geothermically. They're warm because they're on the vent that goes right up the mid-Atlantic ridge from Antarctica through the South Atlantic all the way to the North Atlantic and Iceland, which is known as the land of fire and ice. Well, yeah. Antarctica is also the land of fire and ice, and there are more volcanoes in Antarctica than any other continent of the world. So it's all about that. So you can imagine what might be existing under the ice. And I think that's what the Nazis discovered. This whole network, this whole system of even flowing fresh water that they could use, but geothermal activities and channels that they could navigate their U-boats up under the ice to these under the ice and hidden from the world cities that they developed. So it's really interesting what they were up to down there, and the fact that one of these big mother ships may be there as well.
I kind of think it is. And what they did down there, to expand a little bit of what I have found too, is that they found this huge cavern, and they installed, because the Germans were already developing what we would call free energy, and they installed that. So they already have that down. They don't have to burn coal anymore. And I have on my computer somewhere, I have a German document written in German where it talks about this cavern, and also that there, and in a different area, they found an entrance into a huge cavern inside the earth, which we call probably would be like the inner earth. It was all written up in German, and you probably have heard about that too.
Well, I have indeed. Yeah, journeys into the inner earth. You can imagine how excited the military and Hitler would have been. In fact, Admiral Dolence even boasted that they had created an impregnable fortress within these ice domes as a Shangri-La for the Fuhrer. So if they had made this contact with any inner-earth civilization, or just were able to utilize the geothermal features and create their own. But I think the most of the data points suggest that the Nazis had allied with the reptilian ETs, and they too also had a base down there, quite likely a very old base, or what I call a legacy base that's just been there for millennia.
Yeah.
And they were able to team up with them, and that is what confronted Admiral Byrd when he went down to confront the New Berlin base during Operation High Jump, 1946, 1947. And there was the Battle of High Jump out at sea. And Admiral Byrd and their Navy armada of other countries were involved too. We got routed. We got at least one ship called the USS Murdoch, supposedly cut in half by a laser with technology that we still don't have openly discussed today, but more likely direct energy weapon that we know does exist. And they took out one of Admiral Byrd's ships. They could not shoot down these craft, which hovered up out of the ocean and went into this attack mode, sunk one of the ships, and then flew off. Admiral Byrd quipped to a Chilean journalist that we will be confronted with an enemy that can fly pole to pole at incredible speeds. Well, Augie, as far as I know, there's still no above ground notification that there are any crafts on Earth that can fly to pole at incredible speeds, presumably not stopping to refuel. And that's what the craft that flew over the Capitol building in 1952. They're not UFOs. They were Nazi craft that came out of Antarctica.
Yeah, that was probably just a demonstration that leave us alone or we're going to come for you.
Yeah. Oh, and what a way to force a deal with the Americans. Leave us alone. But nonetheless, that certainly struck a chord with very proud generals who I'm sure were not too happy about being routed in the Battle of High Jump. Yeah. And they reconvened down there in the late 1950s, and that's when the nuclear bomb project Argus, under the guise of blowing up high-altitude nuclear bombs to release the gases of Earth. And this is in Alternative 1 scenario, which is a chapter in my new book, Beyond Esoteric, Alternative 1, 2, and 3. Alternative 2 is going underground, which they had done with the New Berlin base. And then Alternative 3 is going off-planet, which the Nazis also did. The Nachtwaffen, with Penny Bradley and some others who are whistleblowers of being part of the German secret space program. So they were very well advanced. They have developed the disc long before we did, intimidated America with the flyover of the Capitol, and then worked together with our CIA in forming an unholy alliance. Well, they still tried to nuke them during Operation Argus, but by then the Germans already knew that they weren't going to stay down there. They moved to their massive land holdings in South America, and that was one thing I found out when I was down there too last year, is that there are these enormous tracts of land, some of them the size of small states out east, like the size of Delaware or Connecticut or Rhode Island, massive tracts of land in Chile and Argentina. They don't know who owns them, but everybody says it's the Germans. So this is the Fourth Reich in America. And this is the point I make in my new book of saying it's not just the paperclip Nazis that infected our government and our country, but it's the Nazis throughout all the Americas, including Central America and South America and Antarctica, where they set up after World War II. And that's what's known as the Third Force. It's an intelligence wing, and it's probably largely responsible for a lot of the false flags, and certainly they had a hand in Operation Gladio, which are known false flag operations that took place in Europe in the 1980s, and they were blowing up train stations and blaming it on the communists. So they've been doing this dirty business for a long time, and really, that whole Nazi philosophy has not died with World War II. It just went underground.
Yeah, absolutely. The Nazis never really lost the war. And now I see we got 30 seconds left of the show. So let's go to break now. And we are talking with Brad Olsen, and we're going to be back after the break and a little bit more about the Germans. And then we're going to talk about what we're going through now and his new book. So stay with us.
This is the Broadcast Team Alpha Show, hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. The one show that takes your doubts of the unknown and spins them into reality. Share your thoughts by calling our hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Call now.
Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More cutting-edge conversation and exploration of the quantum universe after this.
Are you ready? Ready to go inside the Matrix? Inside the Matrix.
You see, whoever controls technology controls the world.
Then tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, as your host, Jimmy Brent, takes you deep inside the holographic Matrix.
Carefully designed to stimulate the mind.
Come explore a world of topics from technology, archaeology, spirituality, and so much more. Inside the Matrix will liberate you from the manipulated, parasitic entities of consciousness.
You guys ready for this?
It's time to claim your true natures as creative, divine beings inside the Matrix. Hosted by Jimmy Brent.
Who are we talking about?
Jimmy Brent. Live Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Inside the Matrix. Investigating and analyzing the experience of life. 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 Life.
Hi, this is Tim Swartz with Exploring the Bizarre, and I want to wish you, your family, and all of your loved ones a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Great.
It's great. I think it's great.
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Great.
Make a note of it.
It's great.
If ever a breed was affectionate to a fault, it's the Golden Retriever. They're people dogs, pure and simple. And the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada needs your help. If you would like to volunteer, foster, adopt, or donate, go to the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada's website at grrsn.org. That's grrsn.org. Or call 598-GOLD. That's 598-GOLD.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring. Why?
Anyone?
Because they were huddled around the fire, listening to the KCOR Digital Radio Network, home for the holiday special. Brilliant! Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, Christmas Eve, it's commercial-free holiday music.
Yes, this Christmas music. It's joyful and triumphant.
Our gift to you from the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Going live.
Come explore the quantum possibilities. This is Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.
To be on the show live, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. Share your thoughts of the show on Twitter at KCOR Radio, #KCOR. Or join the cutting edge conversation live in our chat room at KCORradio.com. Now back to Broadcast Team Alpha with your free thinking hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nost.
Hello, we are back, and we are back talking with Brad Olsen. And this got really interesting in the first part of this show, except for the technical glitch. But we are so blessed, we're not going to have anything like that anymore on this show. So this is going to be good. And now I want to just say hi to the people in the chat room also. Normally Nori does this, and she's good at it. I'll just see if I can stumble myself through this. I see Annie is here, Dana Shiver, and hello, folks. And 5, JC, Joe Marco, hey guys. Karen Nelson is here, Lisa is here, Naj is here. Hey, you're here every time. We love you. Parks Cake is here. I love cake. And Raub, that's 4 Raubs. 4 Raubs are better than 2, right? So Raub. I'm glad you're here. And Shady D is here. Super cute Wave Rider and Happy Daffy. Hey, I love you guys for being here. And Z, and of course the letter Z, you're down at the bottom there, so I almost missed you. I didn't mean to. Welcome here. And yeah, this is really we had some challenges here, but we are coming through it all right. So I think what we were talking about first was about the Nazis and the South American connection as well as the Antarctic connection. And it appears to me that they never really lost the war, they just moved. Yeah, they went first to Antarctica, and then they went to South America. In fact, they probably went there, both places at the same time, because there's a record of Adolf Hitler in South America. So that makes it a little complicated, because from what I read about that from German writings, hey, Brad is back.
Hey, I'm back.
There you are.
I don't know why I keep losing this call, but man, somebody doesn't want us talking. Hey, Augie, I wanted to ask you a question about those new documents that you came across with Antarctica. That sounds really interesting.
They're not new documents. They date back to the Second World War, actually, or before.
Oh, but they've just been re-released.
No, they. I don't know where. God, I've had him for a long time. So
okay. I think I know what you're talking about. I've used some of those old Nazi maps in Beyond Esoteric.
Yeah.
There's a map of New Schwabenland and the under ice routes of the U-boat. You could just imagine how intrepid those U-boat pilots and crew were to take a submarine under the ice, knowing if you had any kind of accident, you're all dead. There's no one going to be around for hundreds, thousands of miles to rescue you in the most inhospitable planet of the world. So it must have been quite exciting to be also part of that exploration group under the ice.
They have more guts than I do.
Yeah, they sure do. But we're both Norwegian and Scandinavian, so maybe it's part of our blood to explore.
I think so. Vikings. I think so, yeah. Yeah, and one more thing that I wanted to just run by you. I just want your quick opinion on this. You know, back in the 1950s, Adamski was taking a bunch of pictures. And the flying saucers that he took pictures is almost identical to the ones that a Haunebu 1 that the Germans made. Do you see the connection?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's coming out right now that George Adamski was CIA disinformation. And again, they were using these craft to create the narrative that there was this interaction with ETs, and George Adamski was a psychic medium, and only he could go up in the craft, and sometimes there were witnesses and saw him do it. But they weren't aliens at all. They were the Nazis who just painted over the insignia. But exactly, the photographs are dead ringer for the blueprints of the Haunebu 1 craft, which I reproduced in Beyond Esoteric. You're absolutely right. That's all coming out right now, or recently, that George Adamski was just helping shape the narrative, like so many before him and so many after.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I'm sitting here looking at one of your books that I brought from you up in Sedona when we went up there to the Wupila, the conference up there.
Yep.
And in there, in fact, I have the Future Esoteric, and I want to say this about this book. You have some 400 extremely interesting different subjects in here, and it's kind of the thing that once you get into it, make sure you take tomorrow off because you can't put it down. And this is on page. I found something here that I want to mention. In fact, I have both books. We have because Belle Christine was up there. My housemate was up there with you, and she says hi. By the way, she's listening. And she's got the other one, Modern Esoteric.
Yep, and the third one, Beyond Esoteric, is just released.
But I saw something
in their own way and new information.
Yeah, and I found something on page 194 in Future Esoteric where you talk about that there were some time devices that was found in the two ships that crashed at Roswell.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And I get into time and space as a chapter in Future Esoteric, and then I get into Die Glock, the bell, including an image of it in Beyond Esoteric, and then go into much of the backward engineered technology that has been derived from that. And this is under the umbrella term Looking Glass, which, by the way, Q made a drop referring to Looking Glass about a year ago. It was quite stunning when that came out. But this has been technology that has allowed people to interface with the timelines, with going back and forth. It's called the Yellow Cube, and actually that device is on the cover of the new book called Beyond Esoteric, and I get into a lot more new material with that and how the Nazis had backward engineered technology too, and the bell was largely a time machine developed by the Nazis over 70 years ago. So this is just amazing that we're only playing catch up now and coming to understand this stuff.
Yeah, it appears to me as we're probably at least 50 to 100 years behind in technology among the people compared to what they really have that we could have had. That's amazing. Exactly. And I know these crashes were in 1947, but they didn't figure it out before 1995, figure out how to use it. The reason this is so interesting to me because I have a time device and I've had some very strange experiences with it. So that's why I wanted to bring this up, because people need to know that we're behind here. We are being treated like mushrooms, and there is things going on that we have no clue of. Sciences out there that we have no clue on that could have been available to us for the betterment of mankind.
And I'm still optimistic that this information and this technology will be released for the betterment of mankind. I don't think it's game over quite yet as far as the blackout is concerned. In fact, much of this is starting to come out already.
Yeah.
And if you've noticed, even in the mainstream media, they're normalizing UFO sightings and activity, and the Pentagon and the government, the military are all releasing information too. So it's like this drip, drip, drip of disclosure, a little bit at a time, that some of us who have been studying this, for me, practically my whole life, since I was a teenager, really, I've just been so interested in this subject that it's been known to us. We're just trying to piece together this big mosaic, but then you also have disinformation and other groups that have dirtied the water, so to speak, like we were talking about George Adamski and some of these imposters that came in just to get us thinking what these agencies wanted us to think.
Yeah.
And I think it all ties back to this third power, this merging of our deep state government with this Fourth Reich that had been growing in influence. And keep in mind, after World War II, there were tons of gold bullion, bonds and stocks and corporations, even priceless paintings and artifacts that have never been recovered after World War II.
Yeah.
This is the Fourth Reich. So they're very well funded, very well connected, and they're still the richest people of South America. There's even a funny joke in Argentina because almost all the indigenous people have been lost in Argentina and Chile. And so the joke is, well, who are we then? Who are the Argentinians? And most of them are Europeans of Greek or Italian descent. So the joke is, well, Argentinians are Italians who speak Spanish and wish that they were as rich as the Germans.
Yeah.
Have all the money down there. Yeah, so it goes on, and the ties with our deep state government. I think all this is going to start to be revealed, and already is in the process.
I think it's starting to leak out, and it's coming out under the door, and we're starting to see some of it. But, your last book, Beyond Esoteric, I want you to talk about that too, because that also explains a little bit about what's going on with us today, the raising of the vibration, and where we're going, and things like that.
Yeah, sure. It's all new material. It's still being released through the channels of distribution. It will be in Amazon any day now. I know they've made big orders, and since the first couple interviews I've been on in support of the book, it's been selling very well. And so they'll have it if your listeners want to get it. It's probably better there. I've run out with my first 3 cases after a couple shows I did. Now I'm going to be on Coast to Coast Saturday night, so it's really going to go gangbusters. Yeah. But that's a good problem to have, to be noticed, and it's all new material. I never repeat myself. As I was saying in the setup, I'm not sure how far I went, but each book in the Esoteric series is really like 3 books in one. And modern Esoteric starts out with lifeology, and then it goes into control, and then thrive are the 3 sections in that book. And the one you have in Future Esoteric, The Unseen Realms, book 2 in the series, starts out secrets, then it goes into cosmos, and finishes with utopia. Each one of my books ends on a positive note because I'm a generally positive guy, and I like to also highlight the good esoteric subjects that people don't know about. So in the new book, Beyond Esoteric, Escaping Prison Planet, it starts out with the neo-fascism section. It then goes into embargo section, more UFO-related material that's been embargoed, the truth embargo from humanity, including this high technology that has not been released. And then it ends with Uber Mind, and it's all about how we're becoming human 2.0, whether we know it or not, whether we consent to it or not. And this is including transhumanism and a lot of things that are happening in our world, including the nanobot invasion that hardly anybody knows anything about, but somebody who suffers from Morgellons knows all about it because they erupt out of the skin. So these are issues that are going to vex the human race in the coming years, and it is already. And the more we know about what we're up against, the more empowered people will be to make good decisions in their life, whether they want to accept an injection or not, for example.
Well, they better look deeply into that because we have not been told everything that is in it. In fact, everything that is in it, it doesn't even show up in the paper that comes with it. And of course, the doctor won't let you see that paper anyway.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
There's a blackout on information. By the way, with the Nuremberg trials after World War II, it was made law that all of us have the right to informed consent.
Yep.
And you have to know that you're giving your free will to basically say, okay, I'll accept that injection. That's your choice. But you also have the right to know exactly what's being put in you and that it's safe. And if it's not been tested fully for safety, then you have a right to say no.
Yeah.
But we know how this is going, and we know how they're going to force everybody to take it or restrict our freedoms and not allow us to go shopping or travel and things like that. So we're really on the cusp of this right now. We're walking on the razor's edge. Humanity is on the verge of the golden age with all the things we discussed and the release of technology, or we're on the worst course of neo-fascist, lockdown forever, total having a master who is not elected, technocratic owner, this global elite who have gamed the system in every possible way and have paid off police, judges, and own all the systems right now. The only thing we have that they don't have is the numbers. And all we have to do is wake up, and it's game over for them. And that's what the Great Awakening is. And that's what we're seeing right before our very eyes.
And it's coming.
I say on the back cover of Modern Esoteric, the revolution is consciousness. And that's how we win this war, when we all wake up. It's really that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing it happening right under our noses right now. There's more and more people. There are people now that I talked about, even this week, I talked to them that if I had talked to them about this 5 years ago, they would have laughed at me. But now they're listening. So, yeah, they're coming.
Yep.
And now this Beyond Esoteric, mention some of the chapters in it, because if this new one is written like this, Future Esoteric, there's so many different subjects in there.
Oh yeah, well, you're gonna like it. It's just as good. My editor, who worked on all three of the books, her comment was Beyond Esoteric was her favorite. It is called that because Beyond Esoteric goes where no 19th century occultist or person in the think tanks back then could have imagined the world we're living in today. And it's called Escaping Prison Planet because now we're finally realizing the depth of what we're involved in. So the first section, Neo-Fascism, the little tagline for the whole section goes like this. The herd, the mob, the unwashed masses are considered farm animals and are seldom, if ever, allowed to know the truth by their keepers. They believe, they graze, and they bleat. They live and die by what they are told. And this has been the structure on this planet for a long time. It's just taken a new form in this modern age, but it's still the same controllers. And I'll go through the chapters in this section. It's the new fascism, the occult in fascism, world control, Vatican Nazis, American Nazis, MK Ultra, Big Brother, and geoengineering.
Yeah.
And each one of these books, as you know, with Future Esoteric, Age, it could have been 3 books in one. And that's really how I've done it. So the second section is called Embargo. The tagline is, it's not about the lights in the sky. It's about the lies on the ground. History, because it is written by academics, is beholden to their sponsors, never ever tells the truth, let alone how our planet has been acquainted with extraterrestrials for millennia. And the chapters in Embargo are The Truth Embargo, Suppressed Human Origins, Alternative 1, 2, and 3, which I spoke of a little bit on the show, Meet the New Boss, same as the old boss, Being Aware of Predatory Species, E.T. is Already Home, and the Transhumanist Agenda. The final section is called Ubermind. All frequency emanates from one sacred divine source of consciousness. We live in an age where we are hypnotized by our own ignorance and controlled by an invisible master. To break from the false matrix, we must first free our minds. And the chapters are Technology Leap, Brains of the Future, cosmic awareness, exotic metals, crystals, achieving ubermind, the bioterrain, and Morgellon nanobots, which I also spoke briefly on. So this is where it's at. This is everything I got. This is about 1,400 pages of material, and really could have been 9 books, but I put it in 3. And this is my life work, and I've just completed the 3rd, and it's been off to the races. And the book isn't even really officially launched yet, but I'm starting to get a lot of interview requests, and love talking to people like you, Augie, who are interested and know a lot of these subjects already. And like you said, it's finally all coming out, and it's not see, I told you so, or laughing at their ignorance. It's okay, glad you finally got it. Now will you please join us so we can all work together and defeat the real enemy here.
Absolutely.
And that is, knowledge is power. The revolution is consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. One last question for you. If you could talk to the whole world, Brad, and the world was listening, what would you tell them?
I would say, don't lose hope. Be positive that the outcome is going to work in our favor. We are on the cusp of the golden age, and we'll be seeing technology and coming into new knowledge and understandings beyond your wildest dreams. Life is a great adventure. It's worth living. Every single person has a purpose. Find your calling. Latch onto it. Enjoy the joie de vivre, the joy of life. And every day is a gift. So the revolution is consciousness. Join us and be a part of this great awakening. It's a wonderful time to be alive.
Absolutely. And I sure appreciate you being with us here, Brad, because you have explained half the mysteries in the world right now, and the other half is in your book. So that's where the people have to go to get it. And let them know where they can find you and where can they find your books also.
Yeah, sure. If you want to know more about me, Augie mentioned me a little bit in the setup. BradOlsen.com. That's BradOlsen.com. And go to CCC Publishing to read all my books and other authors I publish. You can also go to the CCC Publishing Esoteric Series YouTube channel, in which when I was recording the audiobook chapters for Modern Esoteric and Future Esoteric are also available as audiobook. I videotaped it on a radio show I was doing and put them all up on my YouTube channel. So you can actually watch and listen to the first 2 books in the Esoteric series for free on YouTube. And so I'm that kind of guy. I'd like to give it away. I'd give it all away, but there is a cost to printing and shipping books. So that's like the premium content. And I certainly invite everybody to check out CCC Publishing. The easy way is to go on Amazon, but support your local bookstore. If you want to get one of my esoteric books, order it through them, and let's support small businesses, especially in these troubled times.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you very much for being. Thank you very much for being with us, Brad. And we miss you, Nori. You should have been here. We'll be with you next week. And thank you to all the listeners out there. I see now the chat room is full. So we will see you next week. Until then, be good to each other.
You've been listening to Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.
Hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. Every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The balance of power is shifting to a new paradigm. Will you be ready? For more information on Broadcast Team Alpha, as well as the hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nost, please visit their website at broadcastteamalpha.com. Until next week, remember to keep those minds open while always exploring the endless quantum possibilities.
Broadcast Team Alpha. Over and out.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.